Good morning, good afternoon, beautiful people. This is Samson Williams. Today I'm wearing my crowdfunding professional's hat because I'm going to talk to Jim about Cornbread Hemp. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Samson. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. I like to just jump into interviews. That way we don't have any time to prep. So if you wanted to ask me what this interview was about, you can ask me now.
No. I like these things to roll, I do enough of these. This isn't going to the dentist, nothing like that. Let's just talk shop.
All right, let's talk shop. So here at the Crowdfunding Professional Association, I got nominated president back in March of 2020. We went it hard. We've been advocating for changes to the Jobs Act, Jumpstart Our Businesses and Startups Act. And so right now, because Jim was like, hold up, the raise limit is getting raised to $5 million. That's true. That's going to take effect here in 2021. But first, Jim, give our viewers, our listeners some context to your awesomeness. Why do they want to listen to the rest of this podcast interview? Go.
So, hello to you, Samson. Hello to folks who are interested in crowdfunding for startups. My name is Jim Higdon. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. We launched Cornbread Hemp in late 2018, early 2019 to become one of the preeminent, best hemp-derived CBD product companies in America. And with the help of crowdfunding, we're closer to achieving our goals than ever before. And my particular industry niche might be a lot different than other folks' niche who are interested in crowdfunding, interested in this podcast. But crowdfunding was really important to us because we're in a consumer products, category that's unique in the space because we're legal under federal law, but regulations are trailing the legislation. So we're kind of in a limbo. CBD products are in terms of what is accessible to us in the marketplace and a various number of things. So crowdfunding was really important for us, in part because we're in a region where there's not a lot of capital. There is a crowdfunding. I thought
Kentucky was the capital of the world.
Well, I mean, to some people it is. There's a startup community here, and it's centered around tech and healthcare. And there are definitely healthy startups and investors interested in those healthy startups. But our particular niche as a CBD products brand was outside the scope of what most institutional accredited investors were interested in. On top of that, we were sort of a version 2.0 of CBD hemp companies coming in 2018, 2019, because the pilot programs passed in 2014. So the first round of investments into companies in this sector already had their champions and investors. And in a limited investor pool like we have in the Louisville area, that meant that a lot of potential investors were tapped out because they'd already invested in hemp companies, and we were essentially asking them to invest in a competitor. So crowdfunding became this option for us where we could spread our wings, we could meet new people, we could turn customers into investors, we could turn investors into customers, and really grow our business while growing our business. So
I love it. Jim, let me interrupt you just one moment for our listeners and our viewers. Cornbread Hemp, USDA certified organic CBD hemp, not quite cannabis, but in a cousin market.
It is a type of cannabis.
It is a type of cannabis, rather. And so here's what our listeners and people interested in crowdfunding, investment crowdfunding, they really want to know. They want to know, Jim, how did you raise $492,000 from 870 investors? That's what they really want to know. But tell us about your business first, because I just want to put it out there. I'm looking at your page. You're completely funded because we interview people after they've completed their raise so that we don't have any issues with the SEC.
Right, because you don't want to seem biased or helping out one brand. You have to go help out another brand. So you want to only talk to people who close around.
Correct. But now that you've raised your $492,000 from 870 investors, give us a little bit more insights about your business, about how that money raised has helped you, and just the crowdfunding journey as a whole.
Okay, so we started so to give you some quick background, I was in the field looking to raise an amount of money on a Reg D, like accredited investor round in 2019 and really just striking out. So as 2019 came to a close, my partner and I were getting our heads around crowdfunding as an option for us to move forward on. And we moved into 2020 with the idea, okay, we're going to do crowdfunding. And so in February, we were getting our ducks in a row with one crowdfunding platform, only to discover that WeFunder has a partnership with a local, I don't know if venture capital group is the right word, but Access Ventures and Render Capital are a firm and fund here in Louisville that has partnered with WeFunder, and this partnership is vital to the jumpstart that a crowdfunding campaign needs. And I believe that WeFunder has these regional partnerships throughout the country, maybe even throughout the world. I know I'm confident that WeFunder's partnership with Render Capital here in Louisville is not unique. So folks should look into that who are interested, because what that did for us, one, it gave us a discount on the raise. On what WeFunder's cut of our raise would be, but on top of that, Render here in Louisville matched our first 20K. So our first 20K raised, Render came in and matched it. So we had our friends and family and core investor group lined up. So we're moving forward with this in February. March happens. And the pandemic lockdown hits, and we're looking at each other like, well, what do we do? Stock market's all over the place. Like one day it's down, a gajillion points, and we're like, and we decided we're not going to stop. We're going to go ahead. We're going to do this. We're going to figure this out. And so on April 2nd is when we launched our crowdfund. And
that's April 2nd, 2020, right?
Correct. And we had our first 20K lined up to go in the morning. And so by 10 a.m. we had 20K in the bank. And WeFunder does the crowdfunding on this first round in a really interesting way, so that potential investors don't see a bunch of zeros on the board when you start out. You go into a pre-sale mode with a countdown clock that says this fundraise will go live on a particular day that you can set out into the future. And that countdown clock is ticking down. And so you see a countdown clock instead of a dollar amount raised.
Ah, okay, cool.
And that's a good psychological way to get people in at an early stage.
You're getting ready to launch. You get excited.
Without them thinking that they're all alone, right?
Ah, that too.
And it's totally voluntary. So we set a 2-week ticking clock, but within 2 hours, we had 20K in the bank. We called Render. We're like, we're ready to go. Render put their 20K in before lunch. We called WeFunder and said, turn off that countdown clock. We're good. Let's go live. So by noon on the first day, we had 40K on the board, and we closed the first day with 55 in the bank.
I love it. That shows that infamous traction that typically VCs or investors are saying. What is your traction?
So day one, we had 50K. We did 107 in 17 days in April of 2020, and then we we updated our SEC documents to raise above 107 and went for the 400. So
just a clarity for people who are thinking about raising money, period. You actually were initially only going after the $107,000.
We started a fundraise in the middle of tax season, and getting our books reviewed by
Gotcha.
was the time frame of getting our books reviewed and our time frame of us launching the crowdfund were inconsistent. So we launched without reviewed books. So we had a 107 cap. And then as we grew into that 107 cap, we got our books reviewed so that we could update our financials so that we could raise our cap.
That makes complete sense. And this is just one of those nuances of if you're looking towards leveraging Reg CF of the Jobs Act, you don't need those certified financials, those reviewed books if you're only raising $107,000. But that first $100,000 is so crucial to
Right.
build the momentum. So for our listeners and people who are thinking about, hey, I'm thinking about investment crowdfunding. You said it earlier, customers have more money than VCs, and you want to turn investors into customers and customers into investors. I love
Absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
How approximately how much did it cost you to get on the platform so that you could raise that initial 107 so you could update your SEC filing so you could go after the next 400,000?
I mean, what do you mean in terms of cost? What do you
Like just getting your business, Cornbread Hemp, getting Cornbread Hemp investor ready?
I mean, there was cost in terms of time. There was obviously like accounting costs, getting our books reviewed. Um, but in terms of like spending money, like we didn't spend any money on ads for the raise. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
spend a nickel.
Wow. Did you reach out directly to your customers to engage them?
Sure, we did social media promotions on it, but we didn't boost an ad, we didn't buy an ad, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't do any of that stuff.
So this is all organic growth.
Between between the between the support that we brought to the table and the WeFunder community, and then we did weekly video updates
Mm-hmm.
to our followers and investors through the course of the campaign. Now, weekly at the start, then it probably moved into more like monthly territory.
Mm-hmm.
But video communication with our investors and our potential investors, that's where a lot of the time and investment went, for us to be like, okay, look, here's what's going on with the business today in June of 2020. We just got this great interview in Forbes magazine. You can check it out here. This is what's going on for sales. This is like, and not like what's going on with the fundraise, but here's what's going on with the business. Like, here's the business that you're
Tell
supporting
me
now.
about the business. So
Here's what's happening.
So because sometimes, and we try to explain this to entrepreneurs and founders, you can't just bring the deal on your platform. You got to do work. Got to put in some sweat to get your deal ready. And it sounds like you rounded up some friends. I'm gonna call them friends and families. You rounded up some early people so you could quote unquote get them ready to fund the deal while your countdown clock was going. So you had to put in that work, and then you connected with Render.
That's right.
Render Capital came in with that 20K to help you really help you push you over that first $50,000. And I appreciate this because I tell people we can always get the money back. You can't get the time. So I appreciate you're putting in the work to actually hit that first $100,000. I had another question, but I got so excited I forgot it. So what else? What are some other tips and tricks? And also, let's talk about your swag, because Cornbread Hemp, that T-shirt is banging. That sweater is banging. I feel like this is a $50 I need to spend. And now I just remembered what I wanted you to talk a little bit about, because while you're raising money, you're also running your business. Did your crowdfund help you generate more revenue?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the investment level perks is if you potential investor come in at $1,000 as an investment on the convertible note, we'll give you a 25% discount for life.
Wow, for life. I love it.
So our investors were incentivized to come in at a higher level in order to recoup that investment in product discounts over time. And that, really helped us get investors up to the $1,000 level. And, like having an investor who's a customer turns them into a brand ambassador and gets them talking about the brand. And there's just no substitute for something like that. So that's how, one of the ways that we use the crowdfund to generate sales, generate revenue, create customers, create long-time customers, create long-time customer value by incentivizing the level of their investment with discounts. And then for all the investors below that $1,000 level, we gave them all a one-time 50% off coupon to come in and buy a product or an order at a discount one time to get them in the system, to get them rolling. But it's sort of a two-tiered system. Like either you're in or you get a one-time thing or a lifetime thing.
Wow, you actually just blown my mind for what's in data science, what's called A/B testing,
Yeah.
as well as focus group testing, because these people paid to be in your focus group. They might
Right.
not know that yet. We haven't had time to collect the data to say what is the lifetime value of a customer
Right.
when they're also an investor. They've paid to be in your focus group. I'm having a data science nerd moment, and I'm just thinking, Cornbread Hemp, they're on to something. Our crowdfunding in general is on to something, because
When I started this process, I assumed crowdfunding and investing, like startup investing, like in my mind, my mindset was that this was a for tech firms, Silicon Valley, San Francisco based companies. But coming into this as a consumer products brand, I think consumer product startups have a great opportunity with crowdfunding for this particular reason. Being able to leverage customers and investors and turn one into the other is just a really great opportunity for consumer products brands.
I love it. I love it. So for the viewers and listeners, my name is Samson Williams. I'm president of the Crowdfunding Professionals Association, CfPA.org. And so we're talking to Jim Higdon from Cornbread Hemp. I want you to go to his website, Cornbread Hemp, and pick up some of his swag. I'm assuming you can buy that t-shirt or that sweater.
Yeah. I think they're on sale right now. They were on sale for the holiday. They still might be discounted. So
I love it.
Check it out.
Next time you see me, I'll be wearing one of your sweaters. And so we're just here to advocate for investment crowdfunding, the investment crowdfunding industry as a whole. So when I reached out to Jim on LinkedIn, as all great conversations that occur outside of Twitter, he had some questions. And Jim, if I'm putting words in your mouth, please correct me, about the new Reg CF rules that come into effect here in 2021. And so I'm gonna just give you a brief introduction, and Jim, then you can ask any questions you might have, because this is just the new regulations, the new rules, the updates to the 1933 Security Act will really change crowdfunding, investment crowdfunding going into New Year. So very briefly, at a very high level, we have some additional resources at the CFPA, so you can see the details of this. The SEC on November 2nd, they said, hey, we're updating the rules to the 1933 Securities Act. So here's some of the updates, big updates. Number one, Reg CF, you're going to be able to go from raising $1,070,000, which are the current regs, to raising $5 million under Reg CF. So in the future, hypothetically, the next time Jim goes to raise money, same effort, same energy, same marketing, but instead of being capped at 1 million, he could potentially raise up to 5 using Reg CF. That's for him or anyone else. It's super exciting. The number two big update is that if you want to raise money via Reg A+, and Reg A+ is where you have accredited and retail investors. And if you're in the consumer product business, Jim just said, oh, he thought Reg CF investment, that was for tech folks. He's like, no. If you're selling a consumer product, CBD or anything else, get lifetime customers, loyal customers. You give me $1,000, I'll give you 25% off for life, because I'm really running a focus group study that you just paid to be part of. I love it, Jim. That was brilliant. So in the Reg A+ world, the current limit is 50 million. It's going to go up to 75 million. And so your business might not need 50 million, much less 75 million, but there's some businesses that are looking to scale, who are looking to raise a little bit more money, who have a consumer product, who have retail investors, and also accredited investors. There was also some updates to 506, where it went from 5 million to 10 million. It's really not that exciting. They did update how much the retail investor can invest. So right now it's about $2,200 per year underneath the new regs. As soon as they take an effect, it will be approximately $5,500. There's a sliding scale based upon how much money you make. But again, for retail investors, it will be approximately $5,500 underneath the updated rules. And for accredited investors, right now, under the 2020 rules, the accredited investors were limited to $100,000 that they could invest per year. Under the new rules, once they take an effect, accredited investors won't have a cap on the number of Reg CF deals they can invest in and the amount of money they can invest in each of them. If you're an accredited investor, knock yourself out, invest across the board. So those are 4 really big updates. There was also some updates to demo day, to testing the waters. Apparently in 1933, this thing called the internet didn't exist. And so it made it this much easier to use social media to talk about your crowdfunding offering. So I say these are, it's January 2020. These rules haven't taken effect yet. They have to be, the notice came from the SEC in November, but they have to be registered, they have to be published in the Federal Register for 60 days before they go into effect. So as of having this conversation, I didn't see an update on that. So just keep that in mind. They will come into effect. We're just, apparently there's some speed bumps along the way in Washington of making a transition for the new year. But once they go into effect, these will be the new rules. I'll drop a link down below so you can get into the details and find out any other information. But Jim, I said a bunch of things. What are your questions?
I mean, it's really exciting, having completed a successful crowdfund in 2020, and now being a part of this cohort of, completed round folks talking about it in 21, just makes me feel very fortunate to, in terms of the timing, getting that first round under our belt, understanding how this process works, thinking that like when we go back to do another round, we might not even ever need to do a Reg D fundraise, like a typical fundraise with accredited investors. Like we just might not need to. Our next round will probably be in 22. The scope of that raise is probably going to be contained within the new rules of Reg CF. And so, it's a really exciting time to be part of this, new form of raising business capital. It's, I come from a journalism background. This is not my beat. This is not my forte. This is not my expertise.
Jim,
but learning on the fly on this is something that's totally doable for anybody who's interested and devoted to their business.
I've just found out the secret to your success. Is when you come from a journalist background, you understand the power of a story. You probably understand how to tell a story really well. That's and me. So when you go out to do that pre-work of engaging your community, you know that I need to go talk to humans, and humans love to hear stories. So you might not have recognized, particularly for tech founders, it can be challenging to be empathetic and really connect with people on an emotional or human level. And I'm going to take a scientific wild ass guess and say your journalist background really helped you out to tell that story. Because I like to say every dollar tells a story. And if you tell your story well, dollars will come listen to yours.
And so every story has a beginning, middle, and end. And when you're telling this story to investors, you're telling the beginning of the story. Here's where we are. Here's what we're done. Here's what we've done. The middle part of that story is bringing investors into the party, because investors need to be a part of this beginning that you've started. And the end part of that story is the outlook, and where with the investors' help, where this all is going. So you have to be able to tell that story to the investor so they can understand that their money is going into something that already exists, that has momentum and traction, that's going to a special place, and only they can help it get there. And so getting on board helps the story move. And so you're absolutely right. Telling the story and reiterating that story and video updates to investors and potential investors through the course of the fundraise is vital and critical to creating that connection that make people think, okay, these are people that I believe in and trust, that I think are going to succeed. And so, like building those relationships, creating real relationships with people. Like we have great relationships with who were complete strangers to us, who are now investors and customers that we met through the course of last year's crowdfunding. Like we just have really, great relationships with folks now. And part of that is you can't shortcut relationship building in this process. And so for people who are involved in tech companies who spend their time behind the computer, who don't do a lot of interpersonal communication, it can be a challenge. But that's the key in crowdfunding, is to put yourself out there, let people know who you are, so that they can evaluate not just the company, but the people behind it.
I love it. I love it. So we're wrapping up to the top of the hour, the bottom of the hour. I just got my 3 takeaways from here. Learn to communicate, build relationships with your customers, and then sell a lot of your product. Because part of it is, yes, you did raise $492,000 from 870 brand new ambassadors, marketing folks who are going out hard for Cornbread Hemp. You also sold a lot. So just remember that if you're looking to use leverage and Reg CF of crowdfunding, communicate, build relationships, and sell your product, because revenue will always be the best capital in the world. So Jim, I'm looking at the screen in the back of you, and it says 15% off pre-sale, ships January 14th. So give your company a shameless plug, because revenue is the best capital in the world. Sell me something, man.
All right, so check this out. So we were the first Kentucky CBD brand to launch USDA certified organic CBD products, and certified organic CBD products are incredibly important because CBD products generally are not regulated by any government body because the FDA is slow to issue those regulations. So the USDA Organics program is the only federal agency, only federal program that regulates any sort of CBD product to a very high standard, much higher than when FDA standards come in. The FDA standards would be quite a bit lower than what the USDA organic standards are. So the only government body that regulates CBD products is the USDA National Organics Program, and to get that certification for these products was a really heavy lift on our part as a small company. But we did it this time last year. We introduced our certified organic CBD oils, and what you see behind us is our first product rollout of 21, which is a certified organic CBD topical. It's a balm stick. You can see it it's in a hard plastic tube. It looks like a deodorant tube. It's got a roller bottom. So if you're applying CBD to a knee or a shoulder, you won't get the salve on your fingers. You can keep your fingers clean as you apply the salve, the balm. And it's got arnica and peppermint and eucalyptus, and all of those are organically sourced. So it's a certified organic CBD topical. It's really rare in the CBD market space, and it launches on January 14th. The product is live on our website now, available for pre-sale. And folks who are interested in CBD products or CBD topicals, who are also interested in where those products are sourced and how they are sourced and where they come from, they can rest assured that a USDA certified organic CBD product is far superior than ones that are not. And so that's the niche that we're occupying in the marketplace, and it's going really well for us.
I love it. I love it. Jim, you shared a wealth of information with everyone. So if you're thinking about crowdfunding, if you've never heard of it before, you probably listened to this podcast video and been like, oh, they raised nearly $500,000. More importantly, brought on 870 new free marketing ambassadors for their brand. Go buy their product right now, cornbreadhemp.com. Jim, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for taking out this 30 minutes.
Samson, really appreciate you reaching out. If folks need to talk to me, they can reach out at jim@cornbreadhemp.com or hit me up on social at Jim Higdon on Twitter. Follow the brand at Cornbread Hemp on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. We're on LinkedIn too. So, just give us a shout. We're on most platforms except we got banned on TikTok, but that's another story.
We'll have to have you on another time to talk about being banned on TikTok, but that's it for the moment. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following. And of course, go pick up your CBD products from cornbreadhemp.com.
Thanks, Samson.